You'll never be good enough for this family, my mother-in-law declared, her voice cutting through the Easter dinner conversation like a knife through butter. My son married down. Everyone knows it. What she didn't know was that I'd been signing the checks that kept a roof over her head for the past 4 years. The dining room fell silent. 23 people sat around my sister-in-law Patricia's extended table, and every single one of them heard it. My 8-year-old daughter Olivia's fork clattered against her plate. My 11-year-old son James stared at his lap, ears burning red. My husband Daniel opened his mouth to speak, but his mother wasn't finished. I raised my son for greatness, Eleanor continued, adjusting the pearl necklace she wore to every family gathering. Harvard education. Top of his law school class. He could have married anyone. Anyone. Instead, he chose a girl who grew up in a trailer park. I felt the familiar burn of humiliation crawling up my neck. 15 years of marriage. 15 years of these comments. The trailer park references. The jokes about my lack of pedigree. The way she introduced me at country club events as Daniel's wife, without ever using my name. Mother, Daniel said firmly. That's enough. What? I'm stating facts. Your father, God rest his soul, would be devastated to see how far you've fallen. Living in that modest house. Driving a Toyota. Your wife working from home like some kind of secretary. Patricia smirked from across the table. She'd married into money and never let anyone forget it. Her husband Bradley came from old banking wealth, and she'd spent the last decade reminding me that I'd married the lesser brother. I think we should go, I said quietly, standing up. Running away? Typical. Eleanor shook her head. No breeding. No backbone. Olivia looked up at me with tears in her eyes. Mommy, why does Grandma Eleanor say mean things? The table went quiet again. Even Patricia had the decency to look uncomfortable. Because Grandma Eleanor doesn't know any better, sweetheart. I gathered my purse and helped both children from their seats. Daniel, I'll be in the car. I walked out with my head high, my children's hands in mine. Behind me, I heard Daniel's raised voice arguing with his mother, but I didn't stay to listen. I'd heard enough. The drive home was quiet. James stared out the window. Olivia asked if she'd done something wrong to make Grandma hate us. I told her no, that sometimes people are unkind for reasons that have nothing to do with us. But inside, something had shifted. Something had finally broken. That night, after the kids were in bed, Daniel found me in my home office. I'm so sorry, he said, standing in the doorway. I should have stopped her sooner. You can't stop a hurricane, Daniel. She's getting worse. I don't know what's wrong with her lately. I did. Eleanor's recent move to Sunrise Assisted Living had been difficult. She'd fought against it for months, insisting she could live alone despite the early-stage dementia diagnosis. Daniel's brother Richard had washed his hands of the situation. Patricia claimed they couldn't afford to help, so the responsibility had fallen to us. Or rather, to me. I need to show you something, I said, turning my laptop toward him. Daniel sat down, confused. On the screen was a spreadsheet. 4 years of payments. Sunrise Assisted Living. $8,400 per month. Total, $403,200. What is this? Your mother's care. I've been paying for it. He stared at the screen. That's impossible. Mom said her retirement savings covered everything. Her retirement savings ran out 18 months in. Your brother refused to contribute. Patricia said they were overextended. So I stepped in. But how? We don't have that kind of money. I took a deep breath. This was the moment I'd been avoiding for years. The secret I'd kept because I knew how his family would twist it, how they'd claim I'd deceived them, how Eleanor would find some way to make my success about her failure. Daniel, I need to tell you something about my work. He waited. I don't do freelance bookkeeping. I did. That's how it started. But 8 years ago, I developed a financial software system. Automated accounting for small businesses. I licensed it to a tech company. I pulled up another document. They pay me $340,000 annually in royalties. The contract renews every 3 years. I've also invested in several startups through a venture fund I created. Daniel's face went through several emotions. Confusion. Disbelief. Something that looked almost like hurt. My current portfolio is valued at approximately $4.2 million. Silence. Why didn't you tell me? Because of exactly what happened tonight. Because your mother has spent 15 years calling me trash, and I wanted to succeed without anyone knowing. I wanted to prove to myself that I could build something real, something that had nothing to do with the family name or connections or old money. But I'm your husband, and you're also Eleanor's son. Every time I thought about telling you, I imagined the family dinners. I imagined Patricia's face. I imagined your mother finding some way to take credit or tear it down. So I kept it separate. My secret garden. Daniel sat back in his chair. You've been paying for my mother's care for 4 years. The woman who treats you like dirt. Yes. Why? Because she's your mother. Because despite everything, she raised you. And because I could. That's what money is for, Daniel. Taking care of people. Even people who don't deserve it. He was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was thick. She called you a failure tonight. In front of our children. She did. What are you going to do? I thought about Olivia's tears. About James's red ears. About 15 years of being the family disappointment. I thought about Eleanor's pearl necklace and Patricia's smirk and all the country club introductions where I didn't merit a name. I'm going to have a conversation with your mother. Monday morning, I drove to Sunrise Assisted Living. The administrator, a kind woman named Deborah, met me in the lobby. Mrs. Harrison, thank you for coming. I have to say, when you called about the payment restructuring, I was concerned. Don't be. I just need to meet with my mother-in-law first. Then we'll discuss the account. She led me to Eleanor's private suite. The facility was beautiful. Gardens, a library, private dining room. The premium package. $8,400 a month. Eleanor was sitting by the window when I entered. She looked up, and her expression immediately soured. What are you doing here? Where's Daniel? Daniel's at work. I'm here because we need to talk. I have nothing to say to you. I sat down across from her, uninvited. That's fine. You can listen. She huffed but didn't call for a nurse. Eleanor, do you know how much this facility costs? That's none of your concern. It costs $8,400 per month. Over $100,000 per year. Your retirement savings covered the first 18 months. Since then, someone has been paying your bills. She shifted uncomfortably. Richard handles my finances. Richard hasn't contributed a penny. Neither has Patricia. They told us they couldn't afford it. Do you want to know who's been paying? Eleanor's eyes narrowed. Daniel, obviously. My son takes care of me. Daniel didn't know until 2 days ago. I pulled out a folder and placed it on the table between us. Bank statements. Transfer records. 4 years of payments. I've been paying your bills, Eleanor. The trailer park girl. The one who's not good enough. The one who married down. She stared at the papers. Her hands trembled slightly as she picked them up. That's not possible. It's very possible. I built a software company. I have investments. I've been financially independent for 8 years. Your son doesn't know because I never told him. I didn't want to give you the satisfaction of finding something new to criticize. Eleanor's face had gone pale. Why would you pay for me if you hate me? I don't hate you. I feel sorry for you. You've spent 15 years trying to make me feel small. And for what? Your other children abandoned you. Patricia wouldn't even take your phone calls when you needed help moving. Richard sends a card at Christmas. I'm the one who showed up. The disappointment. The failure. She set the papers down. For the first time in 15 years, she had nothing to say. Yesterday, you called me a failure in front of my children. You made my daughter cry. You made my son ashamed of his own family. You were just being cruel. Like always. And I've accepted that from you for a long time because I loved your son and I wanted peace. But we're done with that now. I stood up and walked to the window. I'm not going to stop paying for your care. That would make me the kind of person you already think I am, and I refuse to prove you right. But things are going to change. What kind of changes? First, you're going to apologize to my children. A real apology. You're going to tell Olivia that you were wrong and that her mother is someone to be proud of. Eleanor's jaw tightened, but she didn't argue. Second, you're going to treat me with respect. Not warmth. I'm not asking for love, but basic human dignity. My name is Miranda. You'll use it. And if I don't, then I'll arrange for Richard to take over your care. I'm sure he'll find a more affordable facility. Something in his budget. There's a place about 40 miles outside the city. Shared rooms. Very economical. Eleanor's face went white. I'm not threatening you. I'm giving you a choice. You can continue living here in comfort, with dignity. All I ask is that you extend me the same courtesy. The silence stretched between us. Finally, Eleanor spoke, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. I didn't know. About the money. About any of it. I know you didn't. Why didn't you say something? All these years. Because I wanted you to respect me for who I am, not what I have. But I realize now that was foolish. You were never going to respect me either way. So now you know the truth. I picked up my folder and walked toward the door. Miranda. I turned. Eleanor was still sitting by the window, suddenly looking every one of her 78 years. I'm sorry. For yesterday. For what I said in front of the children. Tell them, not me. I will. I nodded and left. In the hallway, Deborah was waiting. Is everything all right, Mrs. Harrison? Everything's fine. The payment arrangement will continue as before. That's wonderful news. Your mother-in-law is very fortunate to have family who cares so much. I smiled. She's just starting to realize that. That Sunday, Eleanor came to our house for dinner. She brought gifts for the children. Not expensive things. A book about horses for Olivia. A model airplane kit for James. Things that showed she'd actually thought about who they were. At the table, she cleared her throat. Olivia. James. Grandma Eleanor owes you an apology. I said unkind things about your mother last week. I was wrong. Your mother is a remarkable woman, and I'm grateful she's part of this family. Olivia looked at me uncertain. I nodded. It's okay, Grandma, Olivia said quietly. James just shrugged, still wary. He'd need more time. That was fair. After dinner, Eleanor found me in the kitchen, loading the dishwasher. Thank you, she said stiffly. For continuing to. You're welcome. She nodded and retreated to the living room. Daniel came up behind me and wrapped his arms around my waist. That must have been hard for her. Growth usually is. I still can't believe you kept this secret for so long. Some things are worth protecting until they're ready to be shared. He kissed my temple. My mother was wrong, you know. I didn't marry down. I know. I married up. Way up. From the living room, I heard Olivia laughing at something Eleanor said. James was showing her his baseball card collection. It wasn't perfect. It might never be perfect. But it was better. And sometimes better is enough.